Hello, everybody. My name is the Sobri Voice Walefatse from the Big R. As you know, that the Big R stands for all the positive R words in English, like responsibility, research, results, resilience, relationship. So, why do we say positive R words? We say if a person applied those positive R words, then things will be easy, especially financially. For instance, if you want to get your finances right, it's your responsibility. It has nobody else to do with. It's only you. So today I'm interviewing one of the esteemed lawyers, Athenees, Hannatjie van der Merwe. I've known Hannatjie van der Merwe for many, many years now. We've been friends, we work together, and we are still friends, we are still talking from time to time. So people like Hannatjie, these are people that sometimes I visit their brains to learn a little bit. So because money is about learning all the time, I always tell people that money is knowledge. New money is knowledge. If you're knowledgeable, then it will be easy for you to have money. So Hannatjie, as a lawyer, she practices on a number of things. Today we are going to explain some of the thorny issues that are very, very important. So yeah, let me welcome Hannatjie. Hannatjie, welcome to the show.
Nice to be on your show, Sobri.
If we can just brief people about Hvdm, Athenees, which is your company, and probably about Hannatjie, who's Hannatjie, and then, that kind of a thing in terms of qualification, how long you have been practicing, okay? All those kind of.
Okay. Sobri, I'm a very difficult person. In the day that I got enrolled as an attorney, I opened my own practice. And yes, I've been going for 26 years. At that stage, I was Hannatjie van Merwe Athenees. I've remarried in the meantime, and I'm Pinar actually now, but I still practice under the surname of Hannatjie van Merwe. So the Hvdm group consists of a few attorneys practices at this stage. We've got offices in Mayking, Klerksdorp, Rustenburg, Northern, and in Potchefstroom. Okay. So yes, we initially specialized in debt problems, assisting people to get rehabilitated, to go through a process of either administration or sequestration or whatever, but to get the people back on their feet again, not to keep them in this process for the rest of their lives. And yes, from that specialized area, obviously a lot of other things came out. We started doing divorces and civil litigation. So at this stage, we're kind of all around. I won't say we jack of all trades because we like to specialize in certain areas. I also done my ARTSA diploma, so I can become a liquidator if I want to. And further, I did my business rescue qualification last year. So yeah,
that's good. That's good.
At least it got the all in under one umbrella.
You know what excited me is the fact that you mentioned that you are having 26 years in the practice, because sometimes people fail to understand that experience is experience separate everything.
Sorry, book knowledge is have a lot of value. But you can have all this degrees, but when it comes to practice and you get into a person's personal space, and as a lawyer, obviously, even if as a financial advisor, you must be able to put yourself in those person's shoes to understand the person. We are not this LA law attorneys standing outside. That's at all not our reputation. So we don't look down to our clients. Our clients become part of our family, and we try our best to understand them and also, give a little bit of motivation.
That excites me. And the other thing that excites me is the fact that Hannatjie van der Merwe is your maiden surname, but you also qualified it that you are married to Pinar. which is fine
Yes.
this time.
Yes.
Quite good, which is quite good. Yeah, because sometimes, you know, I was asking myself, I know that doctors, they don't want to change their surnames once they get
Yes.
married. I said, Jesus, is this also applicable to Athenees?
No, no, no. I just, unfortunately, you know, when I started my practice, I started with this red. I decided that if it works for Coke, it will work for me. So all my marketing was done under Hannatjie van der Merwe Athenees. And when I remarried, you know, it was difficult to change the brand.
Yeah,
if
sure.
I can say that, but I did those ones. In fact, we are starting a new practice in 3 months' time. The company is registered, and I'm actually for the first time going in partnership with another attorney, Jessica Rousseau. So we will be practicing under Pina Rousseau within 3 months.
Oh, that's good. That's good news. That's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, this thing of changing surname, double barrel, it's another jargon. It's another jargon on its own. Hannatjie, I like you. So you said, in a nutshell, it's like you are a general dealer. And then I think there we share commonalities. I'm a general dealer. I deal with so many things. If you
Yes.
go to our website, you don't know exactly what are we doing. We are a finance company, but we do so many things.
Yes.
And then although we would prefer to specialize in finance, but life is so dynamic, you end up doing too many things.
Yeah.
Now, I want to confine you to issues of divorce and pension.
Okay.
I see that a lot of people are having problems. They divorce and now they're worried about the pension. I saw a question in one of the group where I am a member, whereby a person said, I'm married, but now the problem is we are in the process of divorce. Because we are in the process of divorce, this guy never contributed anything, all right, into whatever that I've built. I've been taking care of the debts, my debts and his debts, and then I've been taking care of the households. They have 3 children. Now they are in the process of divorce. And we know per law, the gentleman is also entitled to 50% of her pension fund. Now she's asking a question, is this guy gonna be entitled to my 50%, or can I go and contest as the court proceeding continue and say, I don't want this guy to benefit anything because everything has been done through me. So I want you to feel free to explain it, you know, in detail as a lawyer before I can ask you any question.
Aubrey, I think we must start off with first look at marriage regimes in South Africa, because that's a start off point. There's different ways, there's 3 different ways that you can get married. And I'm going to talk as if I'm talking to my clients. So I'm going to explain it in an understandable way.
Yeah.
First of all, if you marry without a contract, you are married in community property. In community of property is as if you take cold water and you take warm water and you put it into one bucket. So you mix the 2. It's one bucket. Regardless of who do what, the bucket is one. Who did what, the bucket is one. It's only one container with water in.
Yeah.
Then you get, if you're married with a contract, an antenuptial contract, that means you will be married out of community property. And the first one is totally out of community. Then it means you've got the 2 buckets, the warm water and the cold water, and you will keep on with your cold water and you will keep on with your warm water. And eventually, yes, if you do get divorced, the containers stay the same. You keep your warm water, I keep my cold water. But you can ask, for example, for maintenance, depending on what did you do, how long for your to support, for example, your husband or your wife. What did you do to support him? Were you the cause of him making the money? And did you think to the children, etc., etc.?
Your sound is breaking. I don't know whether it's your internet. Just check that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Try to speak again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you are married out of community of property, you are sitting with these two containers, one with warm water, one with cold water. And when you separate, or when you divorce, each will keep their own container. It will not mix. But if, for example, the wife could not go to work, she stopped working because the husband said, you must stay at home, you must take care of the children. Then the wife can go and say, but I couldn't get more water in my bucket because you actually prohibited me, and you could not get a lot of more water in your bucket because you got more in your bucket because I was actually the cause of that. If I didn't tend to the children and I didn't cook the food, you would not be able to do that. So actually, I am asking for a part of your container of water. So that is out of community of property. But then you get out of community of property with the accrual system.
Yeah.
That is something in between, but people tend to interpret it wrong. The two containers, the one with the warm water and the one with the cold water, will keep on growing on their own. So it does not mix. But say, for example, when you divorce, the wife built 3 containers and the husband only stuck to his one. His value of his estate is 50,000. The value of the estate of the wife is 100,000. Then the wife must give the husband 25% of the estate so that they both end up on 75. So that is how the accrual system works. All right, now we get to the pension fund. What is a pension fund? A pension fund is the value.
Just before you go there, Hannatjie, sorry, I just want to get a better clarity on this accrual and without accrual.
All right.
Somebody was explaining to me that with accrual, and maybe I missed you there, but you can tell me if I missed you. He said, with accrual, I've accumulated my bucket of water.
Yes.
And then I enter into a marriage with Hannatjie. And then when we start building that relationship, and then with accrual would mean any buckets that we collect from that time, from that time of the union, that's where we are going to share. Without accrual, correct me if I'm wrong, I still have my bucket. I enter into a marriage with Hannatjie, and then we build. I build mine. She build hers, and then at the end of it all, I'll still take mine. She'll still take hers. Is that a correct?
No, it's not. That is where people misinterpret the whole accrual system. Yes, that you accumulated before you got married is totally out of bounds. So that would be totally out of bounds. But the buckets that you start collecting after you married, it's not thrown warm water with cold water. The buckets keep on adding value on their own. So now the warm water bucket is 100,000. The cold water bucket, after the marriage been entered into, stand on 50,000. Then the warm water bucket must give the cold water bucket 25,000 so that they equal. You understand?
Oh, it gives it 25,000.
It's not that they mix. They don't mix it from the day that you get married, all of a sudden it's in a community of property. That is why when you are married out of community of property with a accrual system, creditors can still not take from the cold water bucket if they have a debt against the warm water bucket.
Let's leave let's leave the warm water and the what. That would be difficult for our people. Let us talk about specifics. Let's talk about debts. Let's talk about assets, houses, cars, and so on. Give me examples using those things, things that they can talk to. You know?
Okay, let's do it like that. Husband has I like to always put the husband in a poorer situation than the wife,
Okay,
obviously.
okay. You'll tell me why. You'll tell me why.
Okay.
I'll leave it with you.
No, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, I'm going to take myself as a example.
Yeah.
I got married.
Mm.
We didn't have anything, actually. So there was nothing that could be excluded from the beginning. We had married young, and I started a business.
Mm.
Eventually, the business grown to 4 or 5 companies, or 4 or 5 branches. My husband was an engineer, and he actually did not, he just stayed the same. He built up assets, but I bought the car, I bought the house, he bought 1 car for himself, and I had the businesses, which is value in my estate.
Yeah.
So when we got divorced, actually what could have happened was, my value of all the stuff that I accumulated throughout the years was bought in my name as if we are out of community of property. And his value was only the car. I had the businesses, I had the house, and I had a car. So the value of my assets was higher than his. In order to make a calculation, say my value was 100,000
Yeah.
and his value was 50,000,
Good.
then I must give him 25,000 of my value so that we both equal on 75,000.
So that's accrual.
So you don't take, that's accrual, because that's the accrual system. But we still stay married out of community of property, meaning that my creditors stay my creditors. I still have to pay my creditors, and he still have to pay his own creditors. His creditors can't come to my assets and attach my assets for his debt.
Okay.
So we are still married out of community of property. The only time that it gets in the interest is when you divorce, and then, or when there's a estate, one of us dies, then we will go and look at that. So only when the marriage dissolves, we will look at the accrual system.
Okay.
Is
Now,
that more understandable?
It's getting clearer now.
Okay.
For people with low IQ like us.
No, it's not low IQ.
We want to understand it very simple, you know.
Okay.
And now, here comes the time of divorce.
Okay.
We are divorcing now.
Yes.
You brought 100,000 value of assets.
Yes.
Your husband brought 50 value assets.
Yes.
And then you gave him 25. Then it became
Yes.
75.
Yes.
Now, come the time of divorce, what's going to happen?
Well, the one with 100,000 will, doesn't matter how. It's not to say it must be your car or it must be your house, as long as you give the value to the other party. So it's not to say that, listen, okay, because you owe me 25,000, I want the car, or I want the house, or I want your pension fund. What will happen then is, no matter how I give you the value would be determined, and for all I care, you can go and make a loan and give it to me, but as long as we get the 25,000 to the other party.
Okay. So during divorce, you will go with your 100,000. You receive the 25,000 from a husband, then you have 100,000.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
your husband goes with 50%, with 50,000 value of the properties.
Yes.
Of value.
Yes. He will keep his own property. No, he will keep his own property.
All right.
Remember,
So
what is bought on your name stays on your name.
Okay, that is during the time of divorce. Now,
yes,
during the time of death, what's happening?
Yes. Remember, when you die, there's still 2 estates. So it will depend on what you determine in your last will and testament. If you were married out of community of property and you don't have a last will and testament, the surviving spouse, you inherit everything. So it would go over to the surviving spouse. So that would determine, irrespective. So
of the kind of marriage.
Oh, yes. So it's important that you do have a last will, because when you die, you can't speak for yourself. And people tend to forget that. So it is, doesn't matter how you are married, it is very important that you do have a last will and testament to talk for you when you are going to speak for you when you're not there anymore.
Okay.
When you die with one, and you, for example, said in your testament, listen, I want my children to have everything. Then they will still look at what is the accrual, and that would be part of your estate, because now the estates are split.
Now, in other words, without a will, the chances are the surviving spouse will inherit everything.
Yes.
Now, with a will, the surviving spouse will inherit what he or she deserves, and then
accrual, yes,
will be determined by will.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it becomes better and very exciting. So now, that's with accrual or without accrual?
Yes, that is with accrual.
With accrual. Now, without accrual, give me the meaning of without accrual.
All right. Without accrual, when you die.
Using the same example so that we don't get...
Same example. When one of the parties die, you would have totally two separate estates. So if he dies without a will, again, the wife, the chances are that the wife will be the executor and the wife will inherit everything. If he dies with a will, he can only make a determination with regards to what he built up, the value of his estate. So he cannot make any determination in his will with regards to the other party's estate. All right.
Okay.
So now, the wife never worked. She was married for 30 years to this husband. He said she cannot work. Now she's got nothing. He's got everything in his name. She's got a claim against his estate. The same as you would do with a divorce. And say, but I've got a maintenance claim against this estate for what I built up through the years. And then she must prove her claim against the estate.
Now, that's with accrual.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
that's without accrual now. You said there's no accrual now.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to understand that one so that it's clear. Now, the specific question that I want you to answer, which was asked by this member of the public, was they got married. They accumulated, whether she or both accumulated. But apparently the husband is unemployed, he's not working.
How did they got married? In or out?
No, it's in community of property.
Yes. All right.
In community of property. It's either it's in community of property, the way she asked, or in a traditional way, which is in community. Anyway.
Okay, which is in.
Okay. Yeah. So they're in the process of divorce. So this lady, she says, I'm in debt because I was paying his debts. And then one, and secondly, I raised our 3 children without his contribution. And then this guy cheated on me. And that is why we are in the process of divorce. And now the woman says, I want to punish him and make sure that he doesn't get anything. There is that possibility of that being done.
The chances that he would get nothing is very slim. And the reason for that is, remember, when you are in community of property, there's no separation in estates. That means the wife didn't build an estate and the husband did not build an estate on their own. So even if he did not work, the estate was built together. There's one estate. Creditors can claim against the one estate. The husband could have made debts and it would bound the communal estate.
Yeah.
So now you get divorced. Now it's a factual thing, because now the court would go and look. To say that he never assisted is not a good enough reason to say that he cannot get 50% of the estate. to say that he cheated is not even these days strong enough to say that he forfeits his 50%.
Yeah.
If, for example, yes, he attempted to murder or anything like, you know, real serious stuff, then we can say, all right, we will put it to the court, and the court, you can ask for a forfeiture, that he will be unreasonable. He would benefit unreasonably if the court would decide that he will get 50%, and she would have unreasonable damage if such award is made.
Now,
so it would determine on the facts of the case, but just to say, no, he did not contribute is unfortunately not enough.
Now, give me the example of serious cases that can lead to forfeiture. It's like murder, robbery, and what else?
Things like he manipulated her to stay in the marriage. There was, he could have got a work. It was not as if he didn't have an education. He was just plain lazy. He just sat there and did truly nothing and manipulated her and emotionally abused her. And she was, for example, there was 3 of whatever protection orders, and you know, more to the criminal side than the civil side. That is the bad thing of getting married in community of property, because you actually chose for a communal home to be to grow after you marry. So it's really there's very few cases where the court granted 100% forfeiture.
Okay. Now, when we say manipulation, if you can give me examples of manipulation, what kind of manipulation can be used to say, these are the examples of whereby I, as one spouse, I would say, he manipulated me by not working. I just want those examples so that it can be clearer to this client.
You know, that is actually a question that you must look at. If somebody got a narcissistic personality, there would be the same. If you want to make a protection order against somebody, you must prove to the court, why are you so scared of this person? What is the reason? I, for instance, had some clients that there was witchery. The husband truly, you know, manipulated her by ways of witchery. And she was really scared. So that is why she stayed with him. But to stay with the person for 10 years and there was no real reason, it's just your personality that you are scared of him. It must be something that you can tell the court, listen, you can convince the court that you actually just you were so scared that he would hit you over the head, or he was maybe a drunk or whatever, you know. There must be some proof.
So in other words, as they say in court, evidence. So in other words, you must prove that I've applied a court order, restraining order on this date. Here is a restraining order. Okay, after that, maybe it was withdrawn. I had to apply again. So you have to bring those evidence as part of.
Or you can go to a psychologist and you can get a report to say, listen, this was the real effect. This is not just a story that has been made up at this stage.
Okay.
For example, I just want to explain this. I had a case now where I asked for forfeiture because also the husband never contributed. He was long periods away from home. They were married for 15 years, and in the 15 years, he wasn't even a total of 12 months at home. So he just came home, you know, got some stuff and go again. So he was never there. Now we've got 2 minor children. I want to protect that other 50% of the estate for the children because he will not be able to support the children. So now I'm trying to protect that. Yes, I don't know what the outcome will be at this stage. I'm still arguing it. But I asked for forfeiture, and it's because he really never contributed. He wasn't even at home. He left home for 3 years and then come back for 6 months or whatever. So, you know, that I think is enough facts to say that, listen, he did not contribute towards the maintenance. There's a real risk that he will never contribute to maintenance because he hasn't got a job. He does not keep his jobs. So I have to safeguard the other 50%. The defendant wants to share the whole estate, even wants to sell the house. Where's the children going to live? So that is based on what I'm asking for forfeiture.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something very important, that a psychologist in terms of psychological report might also help. Now, the very same person who asked, they're in a divorce process now. Can she now go to a psychologist and say, no, I need a report so that it can be part of the exhibit?
Yes, but remember, a psychologist cannot just give on the, because you want a report. It's not like sick leave note from the doctor.
You know
what I mean.
You know what
we do investigations.
You know what we call sick leave in our township lingo? We call it isipilivana. You know what is isipilivana? Isipilivana, it's something that makes you believe. So normally when people ask me that, so but why you don't rest? I say, I don't have spilivana here.
Yeah.
I cannot give,
It's very bad when you work for yourself.
Yeah, you
can't have sick leave.
You guys are employed. You can always take this spilivana and say, believe me, I was not a doctor. So that's what I was referring to.
So, you can't get just the most probably the other party, the defendant, would also come and say, well, I insist on a bona fide, somebody who's objective, and not somebody that you choose to give us the reports.
Because, I'm asking this question. I hope this person will listen to this interview. So I'm anticipating, okay, maybe let me go to a psychologist, do a report, a restraining order now, so that there's some facts. So I'm asking if those they come after, well, they were not part of the initial evidence that was contributed. Will they be part of the
in your initial summons when you sue for divorce? You must make the allegation and say that you ask for forfeiture, and the forfeiture is based on this and this and this facts. You cannot come later and say, all right, now I want forfeiture. It's not to penalize the guy. It's actually to make sure that you are not harmed based on something you're totally innocent of.
Okay. The other question was saying, may I kindly get an advice? If I am to divorce my partner with whom we were married in community of property, if I pass on while divorce proceedings are in place, what happens from that point onwards? Does it automatically become a successful divorce, or is it nullified, or what happens to my pension?
It's actually nullified. So remember, pension funds also got their own rules. So you can go and make a beneficiary in your pension fund. And then the husband to whom you are married, or the wife, I don't know if it's a wife or a husband, to whom you are married, must put in a claim against the pension fund. So, but if you die before the marriage is finally divorce order is granted, unfortunately, the same will apply then as the usual marriage.
So the remaining spouse.
Again,
the remaining spouse. Okay.
Yes.
That's quite.
So it is very important that even if you did have a beneficiary, the remaining spouse would be liable or not liable, would be my English is leaving me now. Entitled. That's the word that I'm looking for. The would be entitled to 50% of your pension fund.
All right, but now you have passed on, so the remaining spouse takes everything now. 100%.
Not if you put in your beneficiary. Remember, it's only okay. If you made a beneficiary, it's like a will. because you made a determination. And your spouse will only get 50% because the other 50% would go to your child.
It'll go to
If you
beneficiary
nominated your child as the other
as a
as the beneficiary in your pension fund.
All right, all right.
And
Now,
remember, it's not with regards to just the pension fund. The pension fund is just an asset, like a car or a house in an estate.
yeah.
So it's just part of the asset. It's not the pension fund per se.
Yeah.
You must look at the total assets.
The total assets, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Now, in case whereby we are married and then we get divorced, and then after getting divorced, maybe 2018 we get divorced, and then allegedly I'm fired at my work. The government wants to claim part of their money, but we divorced in 2018. Then my wife says, no, but I'm entitled to 50% of Sobri's part of the money. And then
all right. When was the divorce granted? 2008?
2008.
And when is the all right? And when is
well, I
when
live
is
I live in 2020.
Okay.
Or I'm fired in 2020. And they issue their order in 2020 to the pension fund. All right. Having issued their order in 2020 to the pension fund, and my wife wants to claim her 50% from me. How will the court treat it?
It depends on what happened with the divorce order.
No, I'm saying...
Is the divorce order already granted?
Yeah, it's granted, 2018.
Yes. So it depends on what the order states. What
no,
was determined in
the order says is clear. My wife will get 50% of everything that I've accumulated. And then now what was only left, because I was still working, it was my pension. Yes. But unfortunately, I was fired. And then being fired, then there was an order against my pension. Now my wife wants part of the 50% she's entitled to. So
remember that the pension fund, the orders now make it that you must collect your 50% immediately, because the Divorce Act says that there must be finalization just to present this in fact. So her claim is pre-existing, whatever claim now is in the estate. Her claim would be pre-existing against the pension fund. She would already noted that her claim when the divorce was granted. A claim against the pension fund would already be noted to the pension fund.
Okay.
All right. So she would have the first claim against the pension.
Now, but in case they are insisting, they are saying, no, we have applied a court order that we want to hold. That's the case that I'm referring to, your pension fund. But my wife
yes, they can hold a 50%, his 50% that belongs to him since 2018, but her 50% then is pay out.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's one thing that I want to understand. And then the other one is this, because we are still discussing the issue of divorce. In case whereby the couple are staying together, but the marriage is unbearable. It's unbearable, not divorce. The wife leaves me, maybe me this time. The wife leaves.
Why?
Leaves me for a couple of months.
Yes.
And I've not applied for divorce. And if I apply for divorce, remember my wife has left more than 6 months or so. How is the court can I, in my affidavit, and submit that I want my wife to forfeit part of the pension, because remember I've been abused emotionally.
Yes.
All right.
You can, as long as there's merits in your allegations, then you can ask for that. You can say, but she left in 2011. I can't see why she must benefit from that stage, the value that increased from 2011 to 2020. You can ask for it. The court will ask, why didn't you divorce, sooner? So yes, but if...
Sometimes my heart,
yeah,
I have a hope that my wife will come back, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
Now I'm contemplating of divorce. So can I argue and say, no, she has been away and she must forfeit?
You can argue that it would just have to be substantiated. What did accrue thereafter? What did the other, when she left, did she leave the children with you? In support of your affidavit, to say that the whole thing that the court would look at is the essential element that the court would look at is, would the other party be unreasonably benefit if it is not forfeited? So would there be an unreasonable benefit for the party who left the house if the court does not grant the forfeiture?
Okay. Now, the other thing that I would like to ask, in a divorce proceedings, we stay well, there's no problem, and self-employed, and the next thing, the wife leaves for a few months, like I say, 3, 4, 5 months, and we divorce. Can I argue for emotional abuse?
You can, but you must,
so that I can apply for forfeiture.
4 to 3 months, 4 or 5 months is not enough. I won't say that the court would say there's unreasonable benefit to the other party for those months. Even, for example, you're married 20 years, she left for 4 months. The court will not say that there would be an unreasonable benefit. It's a very subjective norm, because what is reasonable? What's reasonable for you and what's reasonable for me? I think if the wife goes, well, she left, she can come to court and say, yeah, but remember, every night he comes drunk at home. He doesn't help me at home. I don't feel supported. I don't feel like a woman. So it's a very subjective term to say reasonable. And then it would be in the court's hands to do a reasonability test and say, all right, but what is reasonable? And there you would also look at various factors. You would look at what's reasonable for me won't be necessarily reasonable for my grandparents. You understand? There's different types of, or even cultures, there's different types of what is reasonable. To say that, listen, my husband left the home, but actually my husband left home to go and work in Uganda. You can't blame him. He had to get some money in. So that's why he left the home. He didn't leave the home just to go and have several other women on his plate.
All right. And then you said cheating cannot be made as a reason in court?
Cheating is unfortunately not a reason for forfeiture.
Okay.
Cheating is not the, when my mother was still married, cheating was a huge thing. Unfortunately, these days, the whole moral of the society has gone down. So cheating is not, it's not a criminal offense as it was seen during that period.
Oh, okay. So it's one
of those things. It's like, yes, he's not cleaning up the house and he's not contributing, or he's taking my money or whatever. It's not that serious. It's not applicable. So if you draft your summons, you would definitely put it in. It's not applicable, but it's not a major factor.
That's it. This divorce is tough. So now, one of the questions that I may ask you, and I know you may indulge me here. If I ask, what would you advise your children? Which marriage should they choose?
For sure, out of community.
In community or out of community?
out of community without the approval system. You know why? Maybe because I was in that situation, but if you are married out of community of property, and one of the parties start their own business, they are not causing a risk to the other party. And if something goes wrong, one must go under debt review, or one must sequestrate. It does not influence the other party's estate. As soon as you are married in community of property, it immediately influences the other party's estate. Many times people get married, start a business, the one goes down, he wants to start a new business. At least then you can start a new business on the wife's name and say, listen, let she start. I will run the business, but let she start a business. There's an opportunity to grow again. Whereas if it's one, then both are in the same chair, and both are in a bad chair at that.
But you know, as much as I know, that in most cases, not to say I'm discriminating, women folks are against this. Why do you want to marry outside community of property? I think
the
boys it will be easy, but for the girls, they start saying, it's like you'll be passing. So
yes.
how can you advise your girl to understand that it's not about punishing anyone, it's about protection in the long run.
Yes, but you must explain to the girl that what will happen if you start tomorrow you start a pet cook shop and it booms, and now you get creditors and it's going well. Startup is great, but after 5 years, people don't want to eat fat cook anymore, and Spurs started making fat cook. So now the creditors wants to take your money. You're going down. Now you want your husband to go down with you. The other thing is, people must understand, clients must understand that even if you are married out of community of property, you can ask for a maintenance claim for the support that you gave them. You're not losing everything. And I mean, do you really want to marry just to be, if you just want to be married to be the
housewife,
supporting, yes, and be supported for the rest of your life, yes, maybe then I would also insist on being married in community of property. Well, if I marry a rich guy, if I get a guy with, I would also say I want to be married in community of property.
Okay, I'll tell you why. I don't know, maybe you'll tell me here that my observation is correct. In fact, this would be the last question. In most cases, when people divorce, it's like getting at each other. I want to see him suffer.
Yes.
Why does he leave me? I think that's what influences people and end up not thinking straight, end up not seeing facts and non-facts. So I think that's what motivates a lot of people. I want to see him suffering. But I argue and say, yes, Pinar is giving you kids. You want to see your husband suffering, even if he's not your husband anymore. Fine, you may want that, but your children may not take pride that their father is
suffering
that state, and that may affect your children. So I think that's what should inform people, rather than, no, I want him to suffer. How is not important. And funny enough, people who are saying all that, they claim to be Christians. Funny enough. So I don't know. That's my observation. I don't know whether that observation is correct.
Sobri, I think you are 100% correct. And what people doesn't understand is, remember, obviously your partner is going to suffer if you divorce him. He will be without you. So he would have his loss. He will be sitting without you. Go ahead, suffer on your own if I'm not good enough anymore. But divorce is not a way of penalizing a person, to make a person suffer. That's not the reason why you divorce. You divorce because you see that there's no way that we can work together again. We cannot. If we stay in the same house, it would be bad for the children because we are fighting the whole time. There's no benefit for the children. There's no benefit for me. I'm unhappy. So I'm going to stay here. I'm unhappy. I'm suffering. So I'm actually relieving my suffering by getting a divorce. But a divorce is not a way to punish. Yes, get what's rightfully yours. Get what you contributed. By all means, fight for that. No means what. But to just do it to punish somebody. It's like you go out with a boyfriend and then afterwards it wasn't nice because he made you pay for your own food and then you go and make a rape case. That's not the way it works. Go to the facts. Look at what is in the best interest of your children, in your own best interest. The other guy will obviously, the other party will obviously suffer because they will be without you and you are obviously the best.
You know, your sound has been breaking. I don't know, quite a lot.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why.
I don't know. It's the internet, but
It's
fine.
Potchefstroom, sorry.
I'll listen to the interview a little bit later, and then probably we'll be posting it next week.
Okay.
I'll let you know when is it gonna be live.
Okay, sorry.
I knew that I said that was the last one, but I want to chip this one, which is something that I read. I don't know how true is that in England, you know, the girls, they would want to marry to soccer players because they make a lot of money. I read something, I don't know how true is that. And then when they see that, then they divorce so that they get part. If I may ask you, as a mother, will you encourage your kids to do that, to have that kind of morality?
I am much too independent to say that I will encourage my children to do that. I believe that you work for what you want and you must put the effort in. And as you said, it's your responsibility to make your life work. There would be many things that come over your path that will be obstacles. But if your head is right and your attitude is right, you can make it. You don't need a man to do that, or a wife for that matter.
If here is Hannatjie van Merwe in front of those girls, what can you tell them?
I would tell them, why lose your pride? Why would you be dependent on a husband? Why? Build your own stuff. I never want to go and ask somebody give me money. I want to buy me the shoes. Would you please give me 100 rand? No, I don't want something like that. I want to make my own 100 rand.
And the question is, what is marriage? Is it based on love?
Yeah. Marriage is love. Marriage is you work together. Yes. If my husband sees that I need money, he will say, listen, I will buy you the shoes for you. I can see you can't afford it now. It's a team. It's like playing soccer. Doesn't matter who scored the goals. If you really love each other, that won't be an effect and you won't divorce.
Having said that, I'm a lover. You know, I'm always at home. Will you marry me?
Well, sorry, I'm unfortunately married already.
No.
For the second time.
I know that. I know that. I'm just asking. I'm
teasing you.
Yeah, I'm
teasing you.
Well,
it depends.
You love me, by the way. You love me, but
yes.
I'm a sofa guy, and you know, working is not part of my.
As long as I've got my own money, I will definitely not have a problem with that. I just don't want somebody arranging my life. But you know,
I hope life can be like that. You know, back to basics. Marry people because you love them, not because what they have.
It's not a business; it's a marriage.
And what they don't have, you know. And
yes, people must realize,
if your loafer is not working and you love him, marry me.
It's a marriage. It's not a business.
Yeah, sure.
You're not marrying a business. You marry for love.
Yeah, exactly. Hannatjie,
all right.
That was one subject for today. We'll discuss other subjects, but because this one is very, very interesting. But as I get those questions, probably I'll pop you around and say, let's deal with them again and see whether it will help people out there. Thank you for being my guest.
100%. So very nice to see you again. Have a nice day.
I really appreciate it.
Bye.
And then pass my greetings to everybody at home. I haven't seen Pine for a while.
I will.
Pass my greetings to him. I normally come to Potchefstroom, but not frequently. There's a
Yeah, then you don't come and drink a cup of coffee.
no, but I don't come frequently, to be honest. There's a lady who's doing,
Oh, okay.
is a bond originator for me. She's
Okay.
somewhere there. I got this lady via Inas, and
Okay.
I keep in touch with that lady, but we largely talk over the phone, just like I do with you. But when I'm via office, I'll definitely come.
Yes, please come and have a cup of coffee.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, Sobri, have a nice day.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.